Hello and welcome to the Special Moves podcast. My name is Mike Williams, and these guys are Jake Kukowski and Liam McGelvey.
Hello.
We've been through EGX. Rezzed, specifically. The one about indie games down in that London last week. So that's probably... this is going to be an indie game heavy podcast. Which is great news. Because
for some people,
because we honestly, it's like we were there for a couple of days and we played a lot of games, and we're going to talk about just sort of what we played and stuff. We're going to actually have another video coming up this week that's like, more of a actual picks, recommendations, like games that you should have on your radar type stuff. But that's what we're going to be talking about a lot this week.
Yeah, more about I guess what it's like there specifically or whatever.
Yeah,
because our list will just be some of the games. There's loads though. It's not like. If you've been to like a bigger sort of convention before, like Gamescom or E3 or EGX, you'll notice that like, I don't know, a game like Call of Duty Black Ops will have like 20 stations on there, 30 stations on there, maybe 40, depending on how big it's like Assassin's Creed and stuff. Or the Division, that have loads. Whereas this, it was kind of like one system per game for a lot of the games.
Yeah, and you'd have some with 4, some with 8, max.
I think
max.
Cuphead, which is obviously quite a well-known game, I think that had just 2.
That had 2
right.
for the
that
Switch.
gives you like a bit of scale, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it's like maybe.
Yeah, but it was a nice event, and we played tons of games. We've got loads of good emails that we're going to go through. They've been sent into our inbox at dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. So if you've got any emails for next week, send them in and we'll have a read. Also, a little bit of stuff before moving on, I suppose, to the actual podcast. We've got the bonus podcast coming up, which we recorded actually last week.
Yeah.
But we didn't put it out because we were at Rezzed and stuff. So
there's no video for it this week actually because there's a problem with the card, so it's going to be audio only. So it's actually it was like my favourite one that we recorded, and I'm not saying this now. After we all agreed
the greatest song ever written.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have the record button pressed.
No, we've got the audio and it sounds good. And I think it's our longest one yet. It's about an hour and 15 minutes as well.
But that's an audio-only podcast. So it sounds like a fucking mental idea, but
like every other bonus podcast, I think it at one point devolved into discussion about Mad Max Fury Road. There was definitely the Avengers in there. A lot of film stuff.
Tradition.
It kind of.
We've sort of christened the podcast now with the Mad Max chat. So
if you have managed to miss it, like we do a bonus podcast for our patrons of any tier from $1 up. And so far we've got 2 out. This will be our 3rd one out.
Yeah, so expect that in a couple of days.
Want more? Then check it out. It's a little bit more about kind of us and off-topicy stuff rather than just us giving you gaming discussion. But it seems to be doing well. So if you're interested in checking it out, worth a look in it.
Yeah, exactly. So what was your? I don't want to go straight into what was your favourite game that you played, right? Okay. But when I say we were playing games at Rezzed, what's the first thing that jumps into your head?
Cake Bash.
I played a lot. Cake Bash was a
Cake
lot of fun.
Bash was fun, yeah.
Tell us about Cake Bash. What is it?
So Cake Bash. I mean, the plot is in the title, isn't it? Everything you need to
Is
know.
it though?
There's a bit more nuance to it.
It's an open world RPG.
A loot-driven ARPG. It's a shared world shooter. Cake Bash is this really fun game, and it was. It first of all looks like a bit like Overcooked. The Onion King or whatever. He's like an onion. Yeah. It was like you basically play as a cake. It's up to 4 players, and you pick I think you can pick a French fancy, a chocolate eclair, a carrot cake,
donut,
a New York cheesecake, a cupcake, or a donut.
This is a fantastic way to set the tone for the rest of the podcast.
So they can live it. So they can. So now, pick your character. Yeah.
Maybe even the character select screen was a bit like a pair of tongs.
It was.
It was on the plate.
You felt like you were in a patissiere, or however you say that.
You're right. Yeah, and so the music was like very French accordion overcooked sort of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play, and it's kind of like like the aggressive Mario Party minigames. The ones where you batter each other off like cliffs.
Yeah.
It was like one of them. So there was like, we played. So me and Liam actually played it. Like I think we played it 4 times.
You had a couple of spins on it, didn't you?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we played it 4-player. It was me, you, and then Stu, our patron.
Yeah.
And then the second time it was me and Liam again, and Kiwo and Tyler. And so both times, I think it was the same both times. We played 2 rounds each. The first round was just like you had to knock the shit out of each other, and when you did, jelly beans kind of popped out of each other, like when Sonic goes on a spike and rings pop.
But you've got to gather the jelly beans.
The winner was whoever had the most jelly beans at the end of the game.
So you Yeah, exactly. So gather
We're
jelly
not
beans
lying,
up.
by the way. This
Yeah,
is real.
yeah, you're gathering jelly beans up, and then you're getting the shit kicked out of you by some chocolate eclairs.
Yeah.
Jelly beans are falling off you. You're scrambling on the floor to try and pick them up.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's got like these amazing, like, money shower moments where there's like some spot on the map will just get like showered in jelly beans, and then
So
you're
if
like
standing
sipping
under it,
You're like,
you're a glazed
Sounds
donut.
like a high risk, high reward thing.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you
You're
know
open
that
to getting battered.
exactly people are coming gunning for you.
Yeah.
There's weapons you could pick up. Like I think you could get like a parasol and knock them out. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
even the arenas, I think, were like
There was
I
a
think they were
lollipop
like
as well.
yeah,
You could,
that's
like
it.
hit them with it.
Yeah, and obviously jelly beans would stick to it, and there's
yeah, obviously.
exactly.
Yes, yeah.
I think there was, I think you were on like a tray cake, like a. If you're British,
Yeah.
you remember those primary school cakes, like those sponge cakes with that very specific icing. You're
Which
fighting on that.
You can still get at your best favourite supermarket,
Oh,
by the
can
way.
you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So those so a tray cake, and then like slices of the cake, aka the map, would get lifted away, and so the arena would be crumbling around you, literally, and then there was like bits where a pigeon would come and try and peck you
Yeah,
because
it
you're a
was-
delicious cake.
It was set on like a fountain in a park or whatever, and yeah, pigeons would like dive bomb you
Yeah.
because you were a cake and they want
And
to eat you.
we played another mini game where it was like there was a bowl of like custard in the middle, and you had to run around the map collecting like raspberries and throwing them into the like custard or creme patisserie or whatever it was. And but whilst you're in the middle of throwing the raspberry, someone could come up and sucker punch you, take that raspberry for themselves and throw it in.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
raspberry is worth 1 point. Whoever's got the most.
It was
at the
some
end.
bloodthirsty stuff.
I'll
man.
tell you what,
was-
that's probably like the funnest
It was good.
multiplayer that I had there.
Yeah.
And it was I think it was just crazy. It was just crazy.
It's basically if you I mean, it will please everyone who enjoyed Overcooked, even though it's a very different game.
Yeah.
It will.
yeah.
Just in tone and if you've got time for Overcooked,
Yeah.
you'll have time for this. It's that
And
sort of,
it felt like more like the Mario Party,
absolutely, yeah.
the violent ones, like because it's free. Again, I can't explain it because when you play Mario
It's
Party,
true. There's a lot of punching. There's a lot of punching.
is.
Me and Jake were having some brawls in there. Man.
yeah, rolling around covered in custard and beans. So it was like some of the Mario Party games you stick together, and this it's pure chaos. And it was really really quite fun.
It was a great game.
And I don't even know who made it. Should have probably done my
No,
research.
I think
before.
it was
Look into
published
some-
by Double Fine
Yeah.
because they had like an entire section just for Double Fine games.
Yes, they did. So it must be
So
what was it called again?
Cake Bash.
Cake
one word.
Bash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Double Fine published it.
Coat Sink.
Coat
Oh,
Sink.
Coatsink have done something else pretty popular actually. But yeah, they the Double Fine section, because obviously Double Fine carries a lot of weight in the it's like Devolver.
Yeah.
Double Fine.
Yeah. So,
Coatsink, they're Kingdom 2 Crowns as well.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
all right.
they're-
Well, they're very different games.
I
That's a
was
hard
thinking, but
change.
how do I know
Yeah.
that name? Because there's been a new update of Kingdom this week.
Yeah.
I've just installed
Cake-
it on the Switch.
Cake update.
They've added a giant, Claire.
cake
comes out of
and
a
candy
cave.
update. Yeah.
So what about you guys?
Well, Liam, what you tell us what yours? So if I say it doesn't have to be like you pick the show or anything, but like, what's the first thing that springs to mind?
It's probably still is Katana Zero for me because
Okay.
it was like I think when we sat down to play it, you
Yeah.
were like said it's like someone made a game and said, "Here you go, Liam."
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like it looked like it was made in your dreams.
It probably was, to be fair. So it's like it's a 2D side-scrolling action game where very cyberpunky, very neon,
Yeah.
lots of synthwave music, and
Yeah.
you play as a samurai assassin, and you can die in one hit. Every enemy dies in one hit, and you could slow time. Bit Hotline Miami-ish.
I was gonna say it
again.
sounds like Hotline Miami.
Yeah, except
Yeah.
except like side-on 2D, not top-down.
yeah.
All right.
But it was very fun. I had a great time. It was challenging, but not to the point of frustration because it only put you back to like the beginning of the room. you were in.
And it's the sort of challenging where you just it was like a puzzle that you figured out how to solve
Yes,
at
exactly.
steps along the way. So when you died, you were like, oh, so you could overcome the hurdle like
Yeah.
quite quickly. So it didn't feel like you were like hammering against the wall at any point. A lot of fun, I thought.
It was, yeah, and it's the first thing that springs to mind anyway for me.
Yeah.
And it's out on the 18th of April, so
Yeah.
not long to wait for it at all.
Dead soon. It's on the Switch.
It's
is it?
Switch and PC.
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't remember what we played it on. I think we might have even played it on the Switch.
We played it on the Switch, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually good fun. I think that was actually one of the first games that we
Yeah.
played. Yeah, for me, I think it's really tough because every game that I sat down and played, and we got through quite a lot, but in the end in the 2 days, and it was like was just surprised all the time. Like I didn't really go in there with huge like, oh, I need to play that, I need to play that. I just was completely a blank slate, and I fucking liked everything pretty much. Every single game that I sat down and played, I either really enjoyed or I saw like this. You know, I could see myself buying this and having a nice time with it. So I could see like potential or whatever. And I think I'd have to say Conan Unconquered.
Right. I was wondering if you were going to go for that pigeon game. That pigeon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
snacks.
Get on that in a minute. Yeah, that's good. But Conan Unconquered. So I actually hadn't heard of this, even though it's made by Petroglyph, who are sort of Dark Horse, one of my like favorite studios when I really think about everything that they've made and everything I've played. So they make a lot of like PC RTS games and stuff, and they've been around for quite a while. And Conan Unconquered, is that what it's called?
It is Conan Unconquered, yeah.
And so I played this for an hour, which is definitely the longest.
I think it was
play
the longest
session.
demo in the entire show.
Well, some of them were just full games.
Yeah,
some of them were like you could just play the whole.
It was just play until you got sick of it, or you wanted to change. Yeah.
But this was like an hour. This is basically one.
It was
level,
one map,
right?
yeah.
So if you don't know, if you have no idea what this is, like me, I hadn't heard of it.
I've never heard of it as well.
It's first of all, you see it, and I thought, oh, this looks like Age of Empires or something like that, and I was like, I'm not, I'll sit down and have a spin. I ended up playing with Stu, our patron, for ages. It was flying,
47
right?
minutes.
Yeah, and so the game is like a wave based sort of They Are Billions type. Survival RTS is how they were describing it. That's exactly how I would put it myself. They said we were the first ones to beat the demo. I don't know if that's...
No, I believed them. Because think about it.
There was genuine surprise on their faces.
Yeah, no,
wasn't there?
I did feel like that because they said, oh, the boss as well. Both of you, like, but and by both, they were talking to me and Mike.
Yeah,
because
but Jake is of course a fraud.
I again. I'm as much of a fraud as America were in World War II. So Stu had to go basically, and I was pretty surprised you guys were still playing it. So me and Liam went off. This is when we played our second round of Cake Bash.
Yeah.
So we had a 4-player battle on Cake Bash.
Yeah.
Had a little catch up. Went downstairs. You were still playing it. And there's a little time, 45 minutes. Stu had to go, and you were on wave 8 out of 10. So I don't know if you've mentioned this yet, and I don't know if it's undermining to mention it, but it's They Are Billions. The game is like nearly identical to They Are Billions. So it's like wave 8 out of 10 was just over actually. I actually started on wave 9. So I jumped in on Stu's place.
Yeah.
And then I rode out the last wave and a half.
Yeah, like a hero.
Exactly. And then they were surprised that it had been done, and they gave us some, like, because they're from Las Vegas, Petroglyph, right?
Yeah.
They gave us some chips and die, didn't they?
Yeah,
and
some
you
Vegas
were very
chips
upset to
and
find
dice.
out that I was the only person that got the dice.
Jake got the dice, so...
You've
11
got
minutes.
a poker chip for doing absolutely nothing but
Yeah.
standing there and watching.
What are you going to do about it?
So anyway, the game was fucking good, right? And it was like, it is like They Are Billions a lot, but...
Even art, like even the graphical style though. Like if I just took a screenshot of the wall and the spikes in front of the wall and said, what game's that from? Everyone would say They Are Billions.
Nah, I think I could tell They Are Billions straight away compared to that. I think it looks a lot more like Age of Empires. Like it looks like an Age of Empires HD sort of thing. But the key difference between that and They Are Billions is the attacks are just like traditional Age of Empires sort of Age of Mythology sort of stuff. So because there's like, it's Conan, so there's like giant scorpions, giant spiders, bats, all sorts of monsters and that. But then they come at you in like more traditional sort of RTS sort of waves. Obviously, there's like some of them, they fill the screen and stuff a lot of the time, but it's not like in They Are Billions. It is like uncountable hordes of zombies. It's not like that.
No,
this is like
20
hit
spearmen,
points
5 spiders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, you can sort of see the wave thing, so you know what's coming,
Yeah.
and they tell you what direction they're coming from, so you can sort of plan your base. And playing it co-op was great fun because you shared a base. You had your own sets of resources.
Yes.
But you could, you had to share the space and defend, so you could end up with like one of you taking the southern half and the other one taking the northern half of the base sort of thing. And it was really, really good. I had no idea what it was, never heard of it.
No, and
I thought it was fantastic.
yeah, it's out on May the 30th,
Yeah.
which was the reason I'm bringing it up is because, like, yeah, I hadn't heard of it either, and it's out so soon. Like, I think
It's actually one of the biggest demos because we were talking about how many
Yeah.
units and
They had quite a few
systems.
booths
They
there.
had a lot, yeah,
Yeah.
And a lot. And I guess because it was so long as well, so to make sure there was enough.
yeah.
They were
you know,
sort of hidden in like the underground.
yeah,
bit
they
of
were.
the
They were.
venue.
Yeah, it wasn't until like almost until we left that we actually played it, but it was it was really good. And I've got just from the pure fact that I completely got sucked into it. That's the most like really absorbed I was, and I was there
Shock
for
in your face when I said, "You've been playing this for 45 minutes."
yeah.
With something.
Mike, like
Yeah.
waking up from a coma or something.
I was genuinely surprised that you were still there. Yeah,
It was
so
ace. It was very good.
that was something. There was quite a few decent games. The only issue was, like I was saying at the very beginning, like because they only had kind of one like system per
Yeah.
game. There were some games I wanted to play on. So like Chucklefish, another quite popular indie publisher. They've done some big stuff, right?
Yeah.
I guess what's the big stuff that they did? Stardew
Wargroove
Valley,
most recently.
Wargroove, and Terraria. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
that sounds about right.
They developed
Starbound.
Starbound as well.
Yeah.
But they're publishing a couple more. I think Inmost,
They've got
Eastward,
Spellbound coming out.
Spellbound,
That,
Witchbrook.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one. I think that's the official title, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Because everyone's calling it Spellbound because it's a spelly version.
Oh,
Of
yeah. Okay. okay.
But yeah, it's no, you're totally right. They got Eastward, which I wanted to play. I
Mm.
couldn't get on that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I played Inmost, which was like the horror thing. That's the only thing. I went in there with some expectation of that, and like, after waiting for ages, you kind of feel a lot of pressure. You know, you guys were saying that like they just put the full build on there.
Mhm.
It's not like EGX where like they'll get you in, you play a vertical slice, 30
Yeah.
minutes, they've got a clicker, and then they say, okay, 30 minutes is up, guys, go. I
Mm-hmm.
could have just sat on that for an hour and a half, and unless someone's going to physically drag me off, I'd like to see him try. I could have done the whole thing. And, you know, so it was kind of, what I meant was...
I
was-
like you injecting some like macho
Yeah,
physicality
class.
to an indie
Yeah.
games conference.
Exactly, yeah. But I ready of you hentai fans or whatever. But on top of that, I was conscious constantly of, am I overstepping now? Am I taking the piss a bit?
Yeah.
There's people behind me
Yeah.
waiting to go on it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really enjoying this. And there's people waiting.
Yeah.
Should I go off it? Rather than if I knew it was going to end in 10 minutes, I probably would have pushed through. But there was a lot of that for me. Like I was playing Knights and Bikes. Me and Stu played it 2-player. And even though I was enjoying it, I would have carried on. I don't know how long the demo was going to go on for. And I noticed that there was like a family behind me wanting to get on it.
Yeah.
So like that was like an issue for me there because I was constantly like just being too darn thoughtful, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And I was like, but I wasn't thinking I'd level them
It wasn't
up. I was
me and you played that, and it
Yeah.
wasn't a hugely long demo. I didn't think.
No,
it was.
about 10 minutes.
I
something
got
like that.
to. I think we just finished another golf course bit when you
Yeah.
try and bury the treasure.
Yeah.
But I felt
Very
like,
cute game that.
Yeah.
It was like a cutaway art style, wasn't it? Like
yeah, Tearaway Unfolded.
Very
Yeah.
costume quest vibe to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just some cute little ideas. Like you can high five at any time,
Yeah.
and one of you
Yeah,
sort of
sorry,
shouts.
Can we talk about this fucking dedicated high five mechanic running throughout the game?
It's amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's got like a Liam
You
was
could
saying.
pet the goose.
You could pet a
You
goose
can pet the
after
goose.
feeding
The
it.
goose loves it.
Yeah.
From the look on his face.
No, yeah. If you've not heard of Knights and Bikes, again, I think a double fine
Double
thing.
fine percent.
It's
Yeah.
really slick. This actually, it's got like a Goonies kind of quality to it, like two people on an adventure. From what I
Yeah,
know.
set somewhere in England by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
as well.
no, yeah.
It was like like caravan park type holiday.
Yeah,
area.
Yeah, exactly, and
And
it-
mini golf being
Yeah.
a big central theme of the demo.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
crazy golf.
It was very unique, and it was like even though the kind of what do they call it, isometric view point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The camera did some interesting stuff with zooming in and out. It was really good. That was one of my highlights actually. That
It was fun.
Another one that leaps to mind straight away as well is a game called Kids.
Yeah.
which
Which
is
is-
actually right next to Knights
It
and
was,
Bikes.
yeah, and it was basically an existential crisis
In-game
as software,
Yeah.
because you play it and it's got this really haunting music, but
like it's playing you.
Combined
I-
with the
it's
visuals. Yeah.
incredibly simple visuals, like outline drawings of crowds. So I think what was it called itself, a crowd game or something like that, or a game about a game of crowds or something like that. And it's basically you just click on the individuals or on the crowd to make them do the thing they're supposed to do in
Like
that scene.
fall into a black hole.
Like
that
fall
never
into a
ends.
never-ending void, and so you click and there's like the voice acting is hilarious, like because it's very like they've just gone to a primary school and said, "Excuse me, young child, can you just say over there into this microphone?" And then the voice acting is like over there, like that from the very like loud and abrupt kids'
Yeah.
voices. It was just mad. It was so like I was very confused leaving it. And I was,
Well, what I found weird, so that was quite close to Cake Bash, so played it. played Kate Bash, noticed that again. It was a different. Like every time I went past the demo,
Yeah,
basically,
sure.
It looked like something else. We went back to it later. It looked like there was another thing, like people
Yeah.
going through what looked like bowels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people
Or warrants.
falling through space. There's just different because it's such a simple premise. It's just black and white, completely monochrome colors and outlines, and it's
Yeah,
but
just-
with this really harrowing music at times.
It's,
And
that
it's,
game is a loose name for
It is,
right?
yeah. It was an
Yeah.
art installation.
left
It was
field
an art
sort of stuff.
installation, not a game. So
Yeah.
that's called Kids. So if you like getting,
Yeah.
confused,
I
well,
tried to Google it, then I typed in kids game, but obviously it's coming up with kids games.
Yeah.
But if you just search Double Fine Kids, you'll find it on Steam. It hasn't got a release date yet. It's just coming in 2019. But
yeah,
it's
that
certainly gonna
definitely
be coming alright.
it left an impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff there that I really liked as well. So those are the two that just stick in my mind. Are there any others that like I don't want to like keep telling you about the games I
No, it's good because what it is so like I'll talk about this one dead briefly because like you were saying earlier, we're gonna use this as inspiration to do a little video, to camera video everybody
a
listening.
bit more curated.
Yeah, of our picks and why specifically. So I just say it briefly that there was a game I was really looking forward to playing for a while called Children of Mortar, and I
Yeah.
finally got to play it, and that was very, very good. And I was surprised to find out because it was in the Xbox ID Xbox thing that it's coming out not only so soon as like summertime, but it's also coming out on everything, including the Switch. And that's very good. So I've been playing Hades at the moment, which is the Supergiant Games thing. I talk about it all the time off camera. I can't remember if I talked about it like in the podcast before because I'm holding back until the next big update before I sort of make a massive love letter to it. But
Yep.
I've been playing and loving Hades. Yeah, like it's incredibly good. And it's very similar to Hades. More so than Dead Cells, more so than Binding of Isaac. This is like a roguelike isometric game now. Children of Mortar, that is, and it's very slick. It looks very well made.
we played some co-op of that, didn't we? And it
Yeah,
was
I played it twice. Once with you, Mike,
Yeah.
and once with Jake.
and it's got this. I don't know. I think the first thing that pulls you in is visually. You're just like, oh, it looks very nice. But then, yeah, it sort of reminded me a little bit of Hyper Light Drifter. I think mainly because of the attack animation and the sort of like glowing blue sword and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not like that's not what it is.
Gameplay wise, it's very
No.
different. Yeah.
It's sort of because Hyper Light Drifter is very sort of difficult. So you go into one scene and there might be 3 enemies and it might be a bit of a puzzle. Like you've got to figure out how to take them out properly and stuff. But this is, you're like, it's like Diablo, like wading into stuff and calling in big superpower sort of moves and stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very satisfying.
Set on like a high fantasy setting about a family
yeah.
who are trying to get
Sort of Nordic, I thought. Sort
Yeah,
of Nordic
yeah.
fantasy,
They're
which is
trying to-
quite
Is it
huge.
the
Was pretty huge.
Bergsons they were called?
yeah,
Right,
John and Linda.
Yeah, the names were very un-high fantasy,
Yeah.
They
which
sound like
it did give me a bit of a chuckle when
Yeah.
it was like, and his eldest daughter appeared, Linda.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben is in there as well.
Why not, innit?
Uncle Ben, yeah, talking about the power of responsibility.
But it was like it's about this family that are trying to basically get to the summit of a mountain to get their missing son / brother /
Yeah.
child. And then, like I said, obviously depending on which family.
What's going on?
member it is.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
It's
It's not always not
it's-
one guy.
was-
But they
it was
did seem like a
a-
close family, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it was like a weird, dark, mysterious entity had appeared
Yeah.
in the land, and it was up to this family to like push back against it and
Yeah.
fight off hordes.
And
of
their house has got
enemies
like
and-
some sort of mad like bat cave in it. That's
yeah, it teleports them to dungeons.
yeah, and it's really well told. Like it touches on all these really, done to death tropes, corruption spreading into a peaceful wilderness, and a family having to band together against monsters. But the way that it turns their hovel of a home into then some sort of workshop, some sort of like army base, and then this, like I'm saying, you got this like cave underground
Yeah.
that like taps into this natural magic. It's so well presented. Like I'm really looking forward to this one.
That was
was
another
cool.
stand-up for me as well,
Yeah,
definitely.
it was good.
There's a few games that I'd never heard of before again, and I just thought that's really good. One of them was Xenosis, which was that was at the Idea Xbox, which had like a lot of good games there. They had like
Yeah.
the Xbox and Microsoft brand had some good stuff.
Yeah, they should be proud of that.
But then so Xenosis was like. At first, I looked at it and I thought, "Oh, I know exactly what this is," and it kind of reminded me, it was like Alien Breed sort of stuff. You're on a horrifyingly infested spaceship, Dead Space type vibes and stuff, and I sort of knew what it was. But then it just kept adding. It was in the space of quite a short demo. It just kept adding stuff like mechanics and things, and and the way it was represented, like the way the way it tells you that you're low on oxygen. by sort of slowly blurring the screen out and stuff and distorting it, which was really good.
Yeah.
There's a stealth mechanic in there that changed that, you sort of crouch down, but then everything gets sort of washes out color wise, and you can't hear things as well, but you're stealthing, so you can sneak past these enemies and stuff. And that was a nice little surprise. And like I said, I didn't know anything about that, and that was one I walked away from knowing that maybe I'd pick that up. And then one that I was looking forward to was Nightcall, which is the driving around Paris
in a
taxi trying to solve a murder. Really good. I mean, the demo was a little bit sort of, as is with like most of them, to be fair. There was a few weird little buggy things going on in the demo, but they'd said that they'd fixed that already, and it was basically, it was like This Is the Police. So if you know what This Is the Police is, it's kind of a lot of conversations, like comic book style presentation, where you're just like just clicking next on the conversation pretty much, but then
like panels or something.
Yeah, sure. And then the screen sometimes divides, and that happens in this. So you've got the map of Paris at the top half of the screen, and then you've got the scene of you in the car talking to a passenger in the bottom half.
Very Fargo TV show.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it was just really good. It's about having conversations, and it's about choosing to say the right questions, and maybe you say nothing at all, and then maybe they appreciate the time to speak in the taxi, and then you get some more information. It's like that sort of conversation investigation system. Then at the end of the shift, you're at home in your apartment, and then you've got like that classic pinboard type photos pinned up and then lines connecting them and stuff like that. And you've got to like build the case to figure out who it is. And apparently it's the kind of game where replayability, from what the developer was saying, there's like, I think 65, 70 odd people to I'm sorry if that's wrong, but I think that, if I remember rightly, that's what they said. So there's about 65, 70 people to actually interview. So that's how many conversations are in the game, which is the core of the game. I noticed they were laid out like so if you went to one passenger, you couldn't go, I'll go to them and I'll get them. The other one went then. So you lose opportunities. So you have to choose who you go to, and then where you take them. And there's like, basic, like you got to watch your fuel, you got to make sure you're making enough money, so you got to factor those decisions in on top of the investigation stuff. It was really good. It was a lot of promise anyway. So that was Nightcall. There's another game that's a bit like that. What was that called?
Yeah,
it's coming out soon.
I know what you mean.
I know, but it's like future dystopia instead.
Yeah, that's right. A bit more neon-y, because Nightcall was
Yeah.
very like monochrome, black and white,
Yeah,
bit of grey.
that was more noir, and this one was more neon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what that was called, but yeah, I'm sure people will remember it was at E3 this year, wasn't it? I think.
Yes, it was.
Were they actually both at E3 this year? I can't remember. You got some? Did you have a nice time on the Warhammer thing as well? Vermintide 2. So
yeah, so
it's obviously already out,
Yeah.
but the DLC, the
new
Beastman.
expansion, yeah.
Yeah, so they've added. They did explain what it was, but I've not played any of the end game sort of stuff in Vermintide. But
did they call them rifts?
yeah,
Is that what they called
I think
them?
they said the word weave.
Yeah.
So that should
I
let
heard
you know.
Mythic as well at one
Yeah,
point.
but all I can tell you is that we had a nice time playing it.
We did.
Me and Liam. It was basically reminded me how much I liked Vermintide 2.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, this is actually a lot of fun.
Really smooth.
Even playing in like a show floor like situation, I would have stayed there all day, just clicking away and stuff. So yeah,
And
that
again, mate, who would have stopped you?
well,
No one. You know what I mean?
yeah, with these lads, mate.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. I had the bouncer jacket on as well. For
you
those
did,
that
yeah.
weren't
You checked like security the whole time. It was great. So let's read out an email then, or two, I suppose. This is into our dearspecialmoves@gmail.com inbox. Feel free to send them in. This one is from Alexander, who says, Dear Special Moves, I got a job where I listen to podcasts during the day and recently came across yours, and I'm loving it.
Yes.
One thing I would say, which is something I have come across multiple times, is people overhyping games after release. And I feel, guess which game he's going to say, and I feel this has happened with Divinity Original Sin 2
Shut
on your
up.
podcast. No, listen.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
Best game of all time.
The same thing happened to me with Skyrim and Game of Thrones, the TV show. Skyrim is a good game and quite enjoyable. I have no doubt that Divinity is a really good game as well, but I don't think I will ever pick up Divinity because I don't believe it can live up to the image in my head now and will kind of disappoint me. The only reason I have Skyrim is because my brother bought it for me and I was disappointed because it didn't live up to the hype. We'd love to know what you think about games or anything in general being overhyped, and if a similar situation has happened to you. Cheers for making the podcast and keep up the good work, Alexander. Thanks for the email, Alexander.
Yeah, nice one, Alexander. So
That's a very fair point. I feel that like a lot. Expectation is such an important, right? I mean, surely that plays a huge role.
yeah, no, sorry, I was waiting I thought you were going to say someone else. I was just doing a big breath in. I wasn't.
Sorry, mate.
So I also have a job that I listen to podcasts in a day, and that job's PR. And one of the games I do PR for is Divinity Original Sin. So first of all,
as of very recently, by the way.
As of like a month ago.
Not been
as of a month
for the last
ago.
3 years shilling for Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah, it's probably the shilling that got me the job, to be honest. So no, to be completely honest with you, how I feel about Divinity Original Sin is well known, well documented. I think it's on Metacritic, it's number 20 in the best PC games of all time. I think it's the best game going, but I can see why that statement could be tricky for somebody. I've just said it's the best game of all time. Immediately, you're not thinking, wow, cool. I'm basically dethroning your opinion, no matter who you are, unless your favourite game of all time is Divinity Original Sin. It sounds like I'm saying you're wrong. So mentally in your head, you're going to be thinking of a way.
Well, no, that's assuming a lot of power from your.
No. As soon as somebody says, this is the best film of all time, not it's my favourite.
Are they pointing like that when they're saying it?
Yeah, probably. If you're listening on the audio version, it doesn't mean anything.
Listen, mate.
If somebody doesn't say it's like their favourite, they say it's the best. Immediately, you kind of think in your head, I don't know about that. So what I'm saying is it breeds cynicism. But so the hype can breed cynicism that way. And what I'm trying to say is Divinity's very, 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 very well received reputation is kind of going to be working against it after the fact, because then you do get these like sort of truthers that are actually like, well, like The Witcher 3, no one dared speak out about it when it came out, but now people say, well, actually, I don't know. And I think a lot of that might be because of people like Alexander who are going into that after being told it's going to give them a new.
Well, I certainly remember a couple of outspoken YouTubers back negatively reviewing The Witcher 3 when it came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was, it's. I think along the like hype expectation sort of lines. We were talking about this, I think, in a bonus podcast. Like it happens in movies a lot to me.
Oh yeah, actually.
So Hereditary, where we're like, oh, this is everyone's saying this is the best horror film since The Exorcist and stuff, and it's the scariest horror film since The Exorcist and all this. Like, awesome, yeah, let's go watch it. And it's because it's not that. You end up feeling more disappointed than you probably would have been if you just had gone, oh, that looks okay, let's go and watch that. It's the expectation is massive. It's really important. If no one had heard of No Man's Sky when that launched on day one, probably would have been a lot more. If that was like a surprise guerrilla release with no marketing in front of it, yeah, of course, like a much less people would have bought it. But would there have been such a shitstorm? No. Expectations are very important, and obviously, what is said by not only people like on YouTube and reviewers and stuff, like saying, "Oh, this is our favorite game" and stuff, but then it goes into I don't know, like in early access games and stuff, where they say, "Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to deliver this, we're going to deliver this," and then they don't manage to do that. But then because the game hasn't quite shaped out the way that they had promised, does that mean it's a shit game, or does that just mean it's a game that hasn't managed to do what it said it was going to do? It might still be a good game.
Sometimes I don't have to even say anything. Like the amount of the weight of expectation weighing down on CD Projekt Red right now. Yeah, it must be heavy, and they haven't said anything, have they?
Well, look at Valve; they just don't make games anymore, innit?
Exactly.
They can't face
I can't look at Valve because they're not. Right. So, realistically speaking, the game that I think affected me the most this way, then, if I was to join you, Alexander, I'd say it was BioShock. I guess I got into that late. Like everyone was hyping it up. And not only did I not think it was that great, I just didn't think it was great. So. I can't think of many times really. Yeah. Films, loads. In fact, most of my life is that. But with games, not so much. I don't know if it's because I try and play them early, or a lot of games that get a lot of hype are either ones from developers I'm already keeping an eye on, or indie games that pop off later. But I normally try and keep an eye on that. Mm-hmm. So with films happens loads, but with TV not TV, sorry, with games not so much. Maybe BioShock is the only thing I can think of like that.
Yeah. Do you experience this, Liam, at all? Or you tend to like a lot of stuff. So
same as Alexander there. I did not like Skyrim as much as everyone else did. Like I didn't play it until years after it came out. Yeah. But that came with years of expectations of like friends telling me like it's the best RPG you'll ever play, saying it's the most immersive game you'll ever play. So when I finally did get around to playing it, I was just like, it's like Fallout but a bit worse, is what I thought. So it's just like. That was a bit disappointing. I don't really want to carry on playing Skyrim at the minute. I've got like no desire to go back, and because I only got like about 10 hours into it, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the expectation was so high that it was just like it was impossible.
It's difficult, isn't it? And I don't think it doesn't. I think at that point it doesn't matter how good the game is. I think a great example of that for me is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Best game ever. Ever, according to some people.
According to Metacritic, I
think.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's in the top thing, isn't it?
It's in the top 10, I think.
It's not, yeah. But then this reviewer saying, this is the greatest game ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Full stop. Right? So you're like, all right, it's got to be pretty good then. So then I buy a Switch and I play it and I'm like, this is good. Yeah, I can't wait for it to start being the greatest game ever made.
Yeah.
And then it's very... I can see great ideas in there. I can see a lot of like clever things in there. I had a lot of fun playing it, but then I still haven't finished it. I'm like quarter of the way through maybe, and I just can't. I don't know. It's just and then that's probably playing a role in my head, like someone telling me that it is the absolute best thing ever made.
Yeah.
And then I can't.
But that's the thing then, because does that breed like? Is this encouraging people to just spend more money and get games earlier? Like, mate, not seeing the joy in Skyrim and Divinity Original Sin 2 is a tragedy. And if you got them early, you probably would have liked them a lot more. But that's the thing, to have done that, you would have had to spend a lot more money on them and got there in the first... And it's more of a risk. So it's weird. The risk does have the reward of, you're on wave 1 of Skyrim. If you can remember Skyrim release day, then... And I'm sure there's loads of people out there. What a feeling that was. When everyone's exploring it together, everyone's online, people posting pictures of Easter eggs and all this.
I remember specifically, because I was in high school when it came out, people like bunking off, trying to sneak out the school grounds to go up to Morrison's and get a copy.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it had a certain size as well, didn't it, in that sense? Like, it was like COD levels or almost.
Facebook level, big I call it. Like if someone's mum's put it on Facebook. Well, back then anyway, when Facebook was people were using it in like 2011.
Yeah. Like more people. Any office that I would work in, like non-gaming, right? Mm-hmm. There's one that would say, "I don't play games." There's another one that would say, "I don't really play games, but I play FIFA, COD, and Skyrim." Still, like they would still say Skyrim. Yeah. I think that's the sort of impact that it had.
Mm-hmm. Give me that Elder Scrolls game, innit? So we can live it again. Yeah. And Alexander, just what I'm saying, that's my advice to you, innit? Get the next Elder Scrolls game day one, see what happens, innit?
Yeah.
Don't expect anything. In fact, it's probably better. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I would... Divinity is... It really depends on what you like, I suppose, doesn't it? But
that's a little bit tougher because, like, there's, like, the point of entry for Divinity Original Sin. Like, with Skyrim, like, it's quite an accessible game style-wise because it's first-person or third-person, whereas Divinity, it's like... Welcome to the greatest game of all time. I hope you like menus. And also, you think it's good to play one character? Why don't you try playing 4 characters? You've got a party. And I think people forget that because loads of RPGs these days, it's you be your like saved old hero. But this is from like the sort of Neverwinter Nights Baldur's Gate school of you've got a party, and a lot of people forget about that sort of stuff. I think the more familiar party system to people is Final Fantasy, where everyone who wants to join, you can come along. But then you like pick 3 or 4 of them for a battle. But in this, you have to choose who your party is really early in conversations.
You have to balance them, all their stats.
And if you don't know what you're doing, you might end up with like 3 people who are very similar.
Yeah, then when a gamble, I guess, pays off, it's like you've got 4 characters that. If it's all working, you've got 4 characters that you like, and then you've got that thing of like with any game like this or like any party-based game, when you pick up an item and you go, "Oh, this will be good with that," like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I'll equip this with Tifa or whatever. Yeah. You've got that, so I can see it. I think definitely. If Skyrim is a lot more, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend Divinity Original Sin 2 to me dad, but I'd recommend Skyrim to me dad. Do you know what I mean?
All right.
It's time to stay off the fucking wilderness. By the 9, stay on the roads. Is that what they say?
Stay off the wildernesses. I don't think they say that.
What's that Oblivion quote?
Stay off the wildernesses,
you
volume 3.
You must travel at night by the divine. Stay on the roads. Is that it?
Stay off the wildernesses.
Stay off the wildernesses. Listen, Alexander, take that tip with you everywhere, innit? Have a nice time. Yeah, also thank you for emailing.
Play Divinity. Cheers, mate. Let's have another email then.
I didn't tell him to say that either, by the way.
Well, it's just a good game, innit? So... This one is from sort of giving us a little profile at the top of his email, which I really like.
Yeah.
So it's George from Southampton, long time patron. Primary listening venue is the gym.
Oh, nice
Yeah,
one, mate.
nice.
Hey, listen, you've been killing it today, and I've
Nice
noticed.
work, bud.
Thanks.
Yeah. Great triceps. I do financial administrative work.
That's
So
nice.
that's a
You've got to
great-
keep on top of yourself when you're doing
Yeah.
financial administrative work. That's the thing, George.
Setting the standard for profiles and letting us know
Spot
who
on
these
that.
people are. Nice one, George. George says, Dear Special Moves, I thoroughly dislike bows and arrows in games.
That's it. That's it.
Especially when they're shoehorned in with the rest of actually useful weaponry, but you're pushed to play with them nonetheless. It's like being made to play with the rubbish child at school who no one likes.
Child! I've never heard anyone describe that as yeah. Liam, who was the most rubbish child in your family school? Like, you don't ever have that conversation, do you? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
The
Okay.
thing about him is he's just rubbish. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, okay. Examples are the Far Cry games, Red Dead Redemption, Last of Us, etc. I always use them as little as possible and resent being forced to. It's a waste of a mechanic. You can imagine how Horizon Zero Dawn was a struggle. especially there's a lot of bow and arrows in Horizon Zero
There
Dawn.
is.
Yeah.
Especially when the robot Sabertooths have Gatling guns on their backs, upon which I looked with ravenous envy. I attribute this to two things. Pulling the trigger on a controller mirrors that of a gun and is just inherently satisfying. The parallel just doesn't work for bows when you have to switch to them. And then you're generally penalised in games like Far Cry and Red Dead Redemption 2 for hunting animals without a bow. I ask you, how does a bullet through the brain spoil the skin or meat any more than an arrow to the brain? Pathetic. I will admit, I am not a stealthy man, and I'm not the intended target for these mechanics. By all means, if you love a bit of stealth, then go nuts. Just leave me out of it, and let me pepper my enemies with lead without making me feel like a bull in a china shop. Quality casting, fellas. They could be 2 hours as far as my 2 cents goes. Keep up the good work.
That's a really good email.
Kind regards, George Hardwick.
Yeah.
Yeah, email of the month, that one, George. Nice one, mate. A very articulately laid out.
Yeah. Let me pepper my
opinion.
enemies with lead.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like great.
I do, to be fair, and particularly in Red Dead Redemption, it's so the hunting and that is so annoying because it's so thorough. It's like if you're into it, again, everything is so like thorough and detailed, and cowboy sim, like Liam said at the time. It's like, so the hunting, if you're into it, probably the best hunting system ever. However, if you're slightly impatient, well, I'm sorry, you're a hunting animal connoisseur, aren't you?
I play a lot of hunting simulators,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, you know what you're talking about.
not even top 5, but
Yeah, but to me, it was like, it depends on where they are. You got to see what quality the pelt is. You got to make sure you don't startle them. You got to whistle to get their heads to pop up, and then you got to shoot them through the neck with an arrow to get a chance of having a good pelt, like to make it
I
worth
thought
it.
you were going to say a good burger then, for the
Yeah,
chance
well,
of a good
but
burger.
if you do
Yeah.
anything that strays away from that, then you end up with a
2-star pelt
Yeah.
or whatever.
As
Yeah.
for bows and arrows more generally, I fucking loved Horizon Zero Dawn's bow and arrows thing. I thought it was cool.
I can get what was it? It was like 2013 was like the year of the bow in games because you had like Crisis 3, Tomb Raider reboot. Every game had a bow in it.
It's still, and the legacy lives on. I think it's
It
still
does.
Yeah,
happening.
they just put one in Destiny 2 for some reason.
Yeah.
What does a game need? A bow.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, I used a bow because that's the strongest weapon I have. Well, happen to have. And you're quite right. I think what it is even something as small as every shot having a wind up of.
And
Whereas
the
when you've got an
dip.
assault rifle and you can just go.
Yeah.
Then it's just.
Yeah, shooting has never been more satisfying in any game than it is in Destiny, right? But then they put a bow and arrow in it, and I've not been tempted to use it. I've been everything in that game. Yeah, I enjoy using, right, weapons wise.
You'd like the bow. You can like.
No,
you can.
no,
stick heads.
I've used it, but
Right.
I'm just like,
It's not a gun.
it's just not. It doesn't have a snap. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just not.
You're right. I mean, I like. I mean, we just on about Skyrim. The bow and arrow in Skyrim is the best. It's fucking ace, that. It makes you feel like a real sharpshooter. And you know when it does that slow motion kill kind of thing, and you can see your arrow.
And the stealth factor, so you get like 3 times more damage or whatever it is, 2 times more damage when you're stealthing.
It's the only way to play, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, don't know about that.
No, what I mean by that, by the way, the only way to play is, and I'm sure loads of people are guilty of this. Forget about bow and arrow, just your style. When you start Skyrim again, and you start a game again, and you go, I'm going to play differently. You'll pick a different character, so you're not a Khajiit anymore. You're a Nord, and you're going to go, I'm going to use an axe, not a bow and arrow, and you always go back. I constantly do it because I can't play it any other way.
That's good that you said that, because I was about to make a big confession, but you just confessed to that exact thing. I've played through Skyrim multiple times, and I've started it. I can't count how many times I've just started the game and played a little bit.
Yeah.
Every single time I played as a Nord with an axe. I've never played it any other way.
It's Khajiit with a bow,
yeah,
isn't it? Because they can see in the dark.
I feel bad just for using a fire spell, I think, because it's like this just
heat up your axe a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's what happens to me. That's how much I love the bow in Skyrim. I can't, even when I want to try and move out, I can't. But I'm kind of with you. I don't really use the, go on the silencer. If there's that in there, I'll use that. If it's the only silent option, which often it is, then I did use it in The Last of Us a bit, because if I remember rightly, I think there was like a 50% chance you could pick your arrow back up from them.
Yeah.
And it was stealthy, so I'd go for that. But then when it's a wind up every time, I don't know.
I think in Far Cry, in every Far Cry game, I end up with the same. I end up with like the assault rifle that's sort of an all rounder and silenced and a good scope and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like the rocket launcher. And I'm always boring and practical with my Far Cry. I never have the flamethrower.
An efficient killer. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'll use it like a few times. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as having
a silenced assault rifle that can do single shot.
Because then I can just clear through the bases
of course,
quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. Best bow and arrow in the game, though, for me, is definitely Skyrim.
Best bow and arrow. I don't know. It is good. It is good in Skyrim.
And the over the top ragdoll physics, seeing a vampire talking to his thrall, and then he just goes, he just flies off.
Little do you know, you're supposed to have a chat with that thrall, and he's.
Have I told you that before? Yeah, I've told you this before. Like, I watched Kale play the game, and it starts conversations. I'm like, the amount of stuff I must have missed in that game.
You just stealth bow first, ask questions later.
If they survive, if they do.
I don't know. It's the best bow in the game. I can't.
I actually quite like the one in the new Tomb Raider games because it had a practical use as well.
Okay.
Because you could use it as a rope. You could use it to pull down barriers and all that.
Oh, right.
So it actually
puzzle mechanics.
It had more use to it than just being stealthy and hunting stuff down.
Well, I think mine is actually Horizon Zero Dawn. It's because
you can it's like a bomb arrow or something on it.
You either say the sentence "hunting robot dinosaurs with a bow and arrow" and you go yes, or you go no. And if you go yes, then it's a lot of fun. But if you go no, then it's not for you. And if that sounds good to you, they couldn't have done that any better. Do you know what I mean? It's so, and I was on board for it. So yeah, I did like that game. So what should we do? Should we do some more EGX, or do you want to do some more emails?
Do another email. we're close to an hour in.
We are, yeah. I'm so paranoid about leaving something out of EGX because I've probably played a lot. I don't want to put a number on it, but I played a lot of games, and I've not mentioned 3/4 of what I've played. But I'll do it some justice in the follow-up video.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, maybe we'll treat ourselves and do 3 games each, just to know.
Whoa!
I know. Yes.
All right. So okay, I want to read this one out actually because someone very kindly sent us a little bit of motion graphics for us to have a look at, which was very nice. So this was something very cool sent in from Danilo R. So he says Dan, I think. You can call me Dan. So thanks, Dan. Okay, he says for convenience sake. So Dan says, "How are you doing, boys? I'm a big fan of you guys from the PGZ times of old. I was very happy when I discovered that the boys formed Special Moves. It was a nice gift. Now it's time to gift back," he says.
Wow. Thanks.
I worked with animation and decided to bring the Special Moves logo to a bit of life. I attached a video with some options for you guys. We can mix and match whenever you like. Create the ultimate logo animation ever made. So he very kindly sent us. Yeah.
Put them all together.
So we had a look at this. Actually, we were at Res, weren't we? When we were on the train and we had a little look.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
So we had a little look on the train at Res for this, and we'll put it on the screen for you to have a look at. So thanks, Dan. Thanks very much for sending that in. We do get a few little bits and bobs saying, don't we?
Yeah.
Maybe we should put them more in the podcast a little bit more often and just be like, have a little. Do people do that?
I don't know. A lot of people who get fan art and stuff sent to them, like pictures of them.
Yeah, they have
they put it
dedicated show. Some people.
We don't have any fan art. Sorry, we don't have enough fan art, right? But I think it's because the people that listen to us are people who are admin assistants that go to the gym in their spare time and hate bow and arrows, rather than people that like as well as us, like Critical Role and Drawing Us in Capes.
Yeah.
But if you do like Drawing Us in Capes, I'd like to see a picture of me in a cape. I'd like to see a picture of Liam in a cape, and I would especially like to see Mike in a cape because I know that he might think it's weird. So because of that, if there is any fledgling artists out there, please send us a picture of us in a cape. It'd be fucking sick.
Right.
Please.
Or not. Dan also says, could I be so bold to ask, could you give my Instagram page a shout out in one of your podcasts? No. Now, it is interesting, though. It's not just... He's not just it's like his personal Instagram page. So it's on Instagram.
Yeah, it's me in the gym.
Yeah, exactly. So on Instagram, Game on Focus on Instagram. It's a virtual photography page. I post some photos using photo mode of the games. I don't recall if you guys ever talked about this topic, but anyway, it's Game on Focus. I do like that sort of stuff.
Wow.
That's worth checking out if you like some nice gaming photos.
It's weird that because I've noticed it kind of, come up in conversation.
It's been taken off.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody about it like last week, and I know, and like his photos, virtual photos, were shown at an exhibition with like proper real photos. And I remember, I thought like not in a novelty way, but in like quite a serious way. Can't remember which magazine it was. Can you remember, Mike? Some time ago, there was a magazine. I think was it PlayStation magazine, and they gave like back in the days of old, they used to have the little cheat books, didn't they?
Yeah.
They had like a little guide to doing virtual photography and getting the best out of photo mode in games. So if you don't know what hue and saturation and all that stuff is, but maybe you wanted to step your photo mode game up, and I think it was PlayStation magazine. They gave it out for free, like it was like a little handbook.
That's really cool.
So it's sort of, I don't want to say, I dare say a movement, but it's
good.
certainly popping off. So I don't know, click on that link if you want to have a look at it, and then there's loads of people that take it dead seriously.
Yeah.
What's that guy on Twitter?
Sunny Legend, SUNHI or something like that.
Yeah.
He does like videography, basically. He does in-game videography, which is like mad. I don't even know how they do it. Yeah, it's like it's basically they play the game with no HUD, and then they sort of what it looks like, they just sort of don't touch the camera stick, so the right stick they don't touch, and then so they just sort of
playing as a default camera.
Yeah, but they have to, obviously they sort of have to be playing the game for it to be moving for them to capture it. Like it doesn't look like they're just like recording gameplay because the camera isn't moving. So when they're playing the game, they've got this in mind, and then it's like it's always games like Devil May Cry and Sekiro and stuff. Anything that's Nier Automata, there's a lot of Nier Automata stuff, and it's just like showcasing the animations in the games and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
and it's just cool. It's just really good, and it's basically like photo mode, but just like videography, in-game videography, which is really cool. So check that out on Twitter. That's Sunny. I don't know how to say it. Sunny Legend. SUNHI, I think, something like that. Anyway, so new releases. Just before we go, there's a few little things coming out this week.
Voice Breaker,
yeah.
What have we got?
It was quite quiet last week, and it's it's getting that time of year, I suppose. But
it actually is. Like it's the first time me and Liam were like,
what's next?
Yeah.
Well, there is a few little bits and bobs, right? So on April the 9th, that's the Tuesday, we've got Dangerous Driving, which is out on PC and current gen, PS4 and Xbox One.
It's the Burnout Paradise people. Like
it's a racing game, and so that's. I do like Burnout a lot, and I do like racing games that aren't just like I like Forza and stuff like that. Doesn't do anything for me, if I'm honest. But if there's a lot of crashing, and I don't have to worry too much about racing lines and stuff like that, and it's a bit more of like an arcadey type thing, I might be interested. So that's coming out on the Tuesday. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. That's out on PC and current gen, including the Switch.
Out here in the West, I think. So I think it's been around in Japan for ages. Or something like that.
I always assume that's the case with that sort of series, I suppose. That's out on the same day. That's the Tuesday, so that's like a visual adventure, visual novel sort of
courtroom RPG.
Yeah, that's the good way of putting it. It's the attorney in that title is no joke. So Shovel Knight Showdown, which is a fighting game.
Yeah,
I've not heard anything about this.
No, I know that they were working on it after Treasure Trove. So I'll check it out if it's the same developers. Anyway, I don't know if it's someone else.
Yacht Club Games. Yacht Club.
Yeah. All right, it's them then. Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting.
So that's weird. It's listed as coming out, but maybe it's not coming out. I don't know. Shovel Knight Showdown.
Maybe it was delayed or something. But Shovel Knight was.
That
cool.
sounds good though.
Shovel Knight's really cool. I played it through 3 times. I don't know how many there is now. Is there 5? I don't know if they finished it. I played it as the play night.
Yeah, there's Spectre,
The Spectre night,
and one more, I think.
Night. Oh, so if there's one more, I haven't played them. It's a great game, and if you haven't played it, you can probably pick it up for about £12, and it's about 5 games in one. Genuinely,
yeah, it's good.
Like each gameplay is completely different. It's a really good game. I don't need to tell you that. If you don't know what Shovel Knight is, just Google it.
Amazing music as well.
Oh fuck yes! The soundtrack for that is well good. The specific one, there's one absolute banger, man. Anyway, yeah. What else?
That's it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty slow April.
It has been a slow
and
April.
It's only picking up a little bit, like towards the end of the month.
I just had a look at the. I thought Labo was coming up, but then the date is different on that. Maybe I should have checked before we started recording.
The VR Labo.
Yeah. So the VR Labo is bold. But,
well, me and Liam actually, when you went to get us these waters, other drinks are available. As if water was
sponsored by water.
Yeah, thanks Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me and Liam were just having a little cheeky look at what the VR actually entails.
Yep.
And it's very much the same as when. Remember, I talked to you constantly about this fucking. I played Metroid Prime in VR.
Yeah.
And you basically just controlled the set camera. It's that. It's
Right.
like you don't. You're not Link's perspective. You're controlling the camera. So basically, it's the exact game, but rather than having to use the right thumbstick, you just move your head.
Yeah.
There's a few like that, isn't there? There's a few like the platformers and stuff.
Yeah.
Super
in VR,
Lucky's
where,
Tale.
Lucky's Tale. Yeah. That was one.
Where you're like eye in the sky sort of perspective.
I played Lucky's Tale, but the non-VR version.
Yeah.
Wind Waker was modded on Dolphin to do that, and I remember me and Dan having a go at that. So yeah, it's not the VR. It's not like No Man's Sky VR. Don't expect to be like. Because I remember, I think that was again on the train to Resd. I saw it and I was like, imagine first-person shooter, like not first-person shooter, but first-person platformer. It's Mario doing flips. You know when he does all those like triple pirouettes and stomping on Goomba's heads.
Yeah,
you feel sick.
That'd be gone, man.
And then but then again, if your perspective was the hat, because he has 2 eyes on it, spinning through the air to take over a Tyrannosaurus Rex. If you've never played Mario Odyssey, by the way, this conversation must sound wild.
Yeah, well, it's all facts, isn't it? It's all
Mario's hat spinning off to take a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I think that kind of camera would work with it's basically every game then, isn't it? Like like you could play XCOM and just be the camera, and there's it just opens up a lot of possibilities for. I suppose it's quite an easy way to just do it, but then motion sickness wouldn't be a problem or anything like that, would it?
It makes more sense to do like an ARG, innit? Like imagine if there was 2 of us on either side of this table and we could just make our little men like toy soldiers.
Oh yeah,
on this table.
Augmented reality.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It makes more sense for AR, VR.
Holographic.
Yeah, why be the guy at the end of the table, or in VR you could be the guy on the table looking around.
Be the table.
Yeah. Be the table.
With that, thank you very much for listening. Like we said at the top of the podcast, we've got a bonus podcast for our patrons, which it'll be this week.
It was supposed to be this week, but I just didn't edit it because we went to EGX and I lost the video and felt sad. But we're just gonna have to put the audio out. So have a listen to it. Close your eyes and imagine you're there, like VR, innit? Be the table and enjoy it.
Yeah. We'll sort out VR. We'll get 360 cameras in, and we'll get just have a camera.
You can be there like you're really with us, and you can watch.
You could be this glass, so you can enjoy it. Look forward to that. But for now, it's just going to be audio only for the bonus podcast for this week. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for sending in your emails. Again, remember, if you want us to have a little chat about anything that you've got to say, any of your opinions, any questions that you want to ask us, it's dearspecialmoves@gmail.com.
Also, pictures of games.
And we'll see you next week.